Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In our previous discussion on what happens after death, we spoke about how Aisha radiallahu anha asked Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam about the punishment of the grave, and the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, yes, it is true. And she says, after that day, not once did I see him perform salah, except that after salah, he sought protection from the punishment of the grave. And we discussed the dua of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, which he taught to the Sahaba after hearing the cries of the inmates of certain graves that were being punished. And the lengthy version we discussed, but the part there is where relevant to our discussion, where we seek refuge from Allah min adhab al-nar and min adhab al-qabr, from the punishment of the grave. We also, in our last discussion, spoke about the hadith of Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed by two graves and said these people are being punished, but it's not for actions that you would deem very major. One used to not purify himself properly from drops of urine after relieving himself, and the other would go about slandering people. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam then took a fresh leafless branch, broke it into two pieces and stuck one piece into each grave, and said that perhaps the punishment will be lightened for them as long as these branches have not dried. So why urine specifically mentioned? Because urine has got to do with tahara, and without tahara your salah is not valid. And salah is the greatest form of worship in the category of huququllah, in the category of the rights of Allah. And the greatest sin, or in the category of the rights of others, is to slander them. Because you turn people's hearts against them. You poison people's minds against them. And it's got to do with sanctity of life. It could even lead to that person being murdered because of the slander and the backbiting that took place. So we spoke previously about the various types of punishments. There are others that I mentioned, being struck with a jagged whip made of iron. Two snakes, one will devour you from the head and the other from the feet until they meet in the middle. 99 serpents, each of which has 7 heads. There's also mentioned in the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that the venom of these snakes was such that if they were to spit venom on earth, it would grow a crop of grain, according to the narration of Imam Ahmad. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the night of Mi'raj saw many types of the punishment in dreams, which he narrated to the Sahaba. He saw these types of punishments that we have made mention of previously. But the one thing that we wanted to elaborate on a little bit more, previously we had mentioned that when a person is buried, the grave constricts, the grave presses the person. For an unbeliever, for a sinner, it's a form of punishment. It will compress you until your ribs are crushed, until your ribs become intertwined. It's a form of punishment. But even for believers, there's a bit of a press of the grave. There's a bit of a press of the grave. For some more, and for others less. So the question was then asked, why? Why? And an interesting answer was given by some elder that the grave is the soil, right? And we have been created from the soil. So the soil is like our mother. So when the children are returned to the mother, she embraces them. If she's happy to see the child, it's a warm hug. If she's a little bit disappointed, it's a bit of a press. If she's very angry, then it's going to be a very tight squeeze. So that is how the grave will receive you. The punishment of the grave will be halted at times. Between the blowing of the 2 trumpets, for example, it will be halted. But also during the month of Ramadan, punishment on the deceased, according to a narration of Anas bin Malik radiallahu anh. Those who die on a Friday or in a Thursday night, which is a Friday, according to various ahadith, there is no punishment in the grave for that person. So punishment is meted out against unbelievers and sinners. The believers, they are in delight. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the believer in his grave will be in a green meadow. His grave will expand for him by 70 cubits and will be illuminated for him like the full moon. Now, we need to then understand that this is a reality that we cannot escape. For some, a form of punishment also will be that the pain of death will linger for as long as they are in the grave. For as long as they are in barzakh, the pain will linger. But in the end, there are manners and there are ways that taught to us by Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam to save yourself from the punishment of the grave. And that is what we will discuss in the next episode, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.